Tyreese McAllister, the therapist on the mic, bringing mental health wisdom, shining bright like a light. Guiding souls to peace, leading minds to the right. With her codes by her side, they soar to new heights. Marcy Trueheart in the mix, mental health advocate, speaking truth, sparking change, grinding like a maverick. Empowering minds, lifting spirits, it's never too late. Together with the crew, just trying to do great. Jamie Tyler in the house, a TV star, champion mental health, taking it far, sharing stories, inspiring minds, raising the bar, with codes by the side, reaching for the stars. Thursday therapy, breaking stigmas all around. With this crew, they here for the town. Mental health help, spreading love profound. Their voices echo loud with a resounding sound. Thursday therapy, here to make a change, spreading love, sharing knowledge in a world so strange. Tyreese, Marcy, Jamie on this mental health range, standing united this far from a game.
I'm thinking we should be nominated for a Grammy for our song. What y'all think?
I think so.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying that song is fire and it's an impactful song. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Man, just
yeah.
Another day in the big city.
In the big
Commanders
city.
lost, so I'm not that happy today. Commanders lost. I was out there for the whole debacle of a game that was, and
I saw you on the news.
Yeah. So I had to keep it real. The guy's terrible. So,
but no, y'all actually played a good game. I heard. I didn't see the game. Anthony was at the game too, but I heard y'all played good.
No, that game.
No.
That game. They should have won the game. Number one, but they had turnovers, drop balls, offsides, penalties, bad calls, you name it.
Oh.
Yeah, that didn't sound like a good game.
Yeah, it was probably the worst game they played all year. And still should have won. And still should have won, though.
Okay. Well, at least y'all record is still good. I'm happy. Again, I don't do the NFL, but I am so happy for the DMV and all those who support the Commanders, because I used to feel so bad for y'all, man.
Yeah, it was bad. That's why I'm optimistic about Thursday, because it's a better team, better management, better coaching. So it should at least be a competitive game, even if they don't win. But Philly, not all that. I think they'll play them tough.
Spoken like a pure fan.
Yes. How was y'all weekend?
Oh, my weekend was good. I did some Delta stuff, a little Delta retreat, little getaway with the girls again. So it was good.
Marcy.
Yeah. And I
real quick, I don't know if you had a chance to see my pictures. We had a decades party, and I was representing the 80s, because that's the year I pledged, and I did the Run DMC Jam Master J look with my Adidas tracksuit. It was cute.
I vaguely saw something. I wasn't really on Facebook a lot these past couple days, but I think I vaguely saw a bunch of pictures. You was somewhere showing up.
It was cute. Marcy, what you do?
Well, I was able to, since my boo went with her other set of boos, but it's okay. I was able to hang out with my belly dance ladies, my tribal members, and we danced with Mayasa on Friday. And on Saturday, we have an annual, me and some friends, we're sisters, have an annual meetup once the ladies weekend. It's been going on for 24 years, I think.
Was that this weekend?
That was this weekend, yeah. And it was 30 plus years worth of friendship, sisterhood. And we just got together. We ate, we played games, we laughed. And we just talked about just how to build other businesses. It was a great time to be had. And I actually relaxed on Sunday somewhat. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I needed.
Shout out to friendships for over 30 years. And they say women can't get together and get along. That's not true.
That's so untrue. And that was what my post was today about how, like, if you don't have a tribal, and I cut, they say friend groups, but friend groups, that's fickle. But when you're in a tribe, like when you watch the tribal people, they move collectively. If you ain't got no tribal friends like I got, You need to get you some. I'm not too sure if you can have mine. I'm keeping mine.
JB, what you do with yourself besides go to the game?
Man, Friday is a blur right this second. Saturday we hosted the Scorpio Bash by James and Malika out at Air Lounge. That was pretty dope. It was a white and gold theme, and she had us
Oh.
as hosts. So that went pretty good. That was Saturday night.
Oh yeah, seen the pictures.
I didn't see
Saturday, yeah. Well, I'm waiting on them to get them back. Well, it was a few. Yeah, we did post a few. Now Saturday during the day, we had practice for the Gatsby Showcase. You remember that fashion show I did? Yeah,
that's coming up.
Yeah, so the Gatsby Showcase fashion show was at the Kennedy Center last year, and I had that blue suit on. I don't know if you saw it. So the stylist that I walk for, he's back again this year. So Raina's in it as well this year. So that'll be
Okay. When is
December
that?
14th. December 14th. And
Okay.
I believe it's in DC at one of the embassies. I'll get that information, but it's gonna be pretty fabulous event. Pretty good.
Marcy and I love fabulous events.
We do. And you know what? You guys have an event November the 30th too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Jamie don't remember. Let me help you out.
I have one those November 20th at Felt. That's my monthly event, but then Raina has one on the 30th. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the pop-up.
Luxury consignment.
Yeah, and that's at the Eloquent Touch Ballroom in
Suitland,
Maryland. Yes.
Yeah, and I went last time, and it was really nice.
Yes.
And it's a great opportunity to go right for the holidays.
Right.
Buy yourself a present
for that Black Friday, all those sales and deals. So yeah, you guys come on out. If you're hearing this podcast, make sure you come on.
Come on out. All right, so I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it. We're probably over talking about it. But what I can tell you as a therapist, people still feeling the heaviness from the election. They are still feeling it more than a week out. They are still feeling it. So what we decided to do for our listening audience, because we love you guys so much, we wanted to talk about personal safety in the time of uncertainty, because that's the feelings that I'm feeling. First, people were just, sort of like grief. First, anger or disbelief. And then anger, right? And some fear too. And so that's what I really want to be able to address, because we know that fear is another form of anxiety, and wearing that, having that on you for a long period of time could cause some health issues, certainly some mental health issues. So we have two guests today that are going to talk to you about how do you protect yourself. And they're coming from two very different perspectives. And then I'm going to also add some things in from a mental health perspective. Y'all ready for our first guest?
I am.
All right, let's get it. Michael, thank you for coming on the show today. And if you could just tell our listening audience who you are and what it is you do as it relates to personal safety.
My name is Michael Hubbard. I am the founder and owner of Judah Elite Tactical Protective Services. We are a firearms instruction, personal protection company. And we basically teach people to have the tools to protect themselves and the people that they love. It is a passion of ours that we are really invested in terms of the community and protecting others. We're here to help any way we can. So we'll provide some tools for you guys. And if you have any questions or concerns, just reach out to me at Judah Elite Tactical.
Excellent.
What's up, Mike? Nice to meet you.
Hey, bro. Pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
And thank you for all you do, man. That's very important out here right now, especially.
Absolutely.
Now, Mike, I want to ask you a question, because I know, like, a lot of women, like, oh, I don't want to have a gun, honey.
Yeah,
I ain't the one. Give me several, but
for sure.
But Have you seen a uptick in females getting your services?
Absolutely. So since 2020, what we've seen in America, the largest purchasers of firearms have been African American women. So the uptake in firearm purchases have been women. They are getting the training. So I would say to any woman out there who is kind of like on the fence about getting a firearm, you don't really like guns, the sound of them, or you've experienced trauma with firearms, come out to one of our classes. Whether you are an expert, military, or it's your very first time, we provide the necessary tools to make you feel comfortable so you're able to get through that process. And it's something like when you first started driving a car, you were very uneasy at first, right? But as you began to do it more, you became more comfortable. So just come on out and we're going to walk you through those steps. You're part of the tribe once you come to us.
And I
And
have
I can
another.
say, having taken Michael's class and taken other classes, that Michael is absolutely one of the best instructors that I had. And I'm not saying it because we're related. I'm saying no, seriously, because
For
I
sure.
would just
Thank you.
seriously. Just the time that you take, the attention that you give each individual person was extremely helpful. And so no, anybody who would like to at least try it, they really should at least take the class. Even if you decide never to get a gun, take the class so you can see what it's about. And then I'll say, as a therapist, for people who are experiencing fear, like that's something you can definitely work through. Just because I always say to people when they are afraid of something, do it afraid. Do it
Yeah.
afraid. Don't let fear stifle you from doing anything that you think you might need to do for yourself. And I know for me, having the having being a survivor of a homicide victim, um, again, I didn't want a gun in my home, but honestly, I saw the insurrection and I was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Because that was the
Yeah.
Capitol that day. I don't know what people had planned because Make America Great sound like something else to me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to defend myself. Jamie, can you talk a little bit about the insurrection and people probably not feeling safe considering what happened?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if Michael knows. My background is in law enforcement. I was in D.C. as a police officer 25 years. Recently retired in 2022, and that morning of January 6th, I was at work. My assignment was closer to the White House, but someone who's listening to that horror and that terror in real time on the radio is something I would never forget. And I definitely appreciate what you're doing out here because the citizens who can't understand what we went through that day definitely need to understand like it's real. And that fear out here of these people, this privilege they feel like they have that you can just go in the Capitol, they definitely wouldn't hesitate. I don't know at this point, no telling what they might do in your
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Truly.
Yeah,
I
and
think it's important not to underestimate anybody. My apologies.
oh no, you could. And I work in the building where Capitol Police are housed,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna tell you the tension that is just surrounding the building, even after this election. Um, Going into the building Tuesday, you could cut the tension with a knife. And this is where the Capitol Police officers are, this is where they report into. So if that building is at uh is uneased, then everybody around us are uneased.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine it was very traumatic for them because they actually lived through the January 6th. And it's not, we only really talk about it as if it was a previous incident. But my work with police really says that these people are really traumatized and like Jamie said, real time. So we talking 2 years later, but like people are still living through these. People can't sleep. People are really struggling. People have committed suicide as a result. And those are not the things that we talk about.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Michael, what?
unfortunate.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. It's unfortunate that people oftentimes take the inferior approach to things. But my biggest motto is this: if you guys are prepared, you'll be less afraid of the things that are taking place in our country right now, right? It's imperative that you are able to protect yourself and your family. We don't know, and with times being so uncertain, the last thing we ever want to do is have to hurt someone else. But it is your right as a human being to be able to protect yourself and the people that you love. So getting that training and being comfortable with being able to defend yourself is super important because we all remember January 6th. It's like September 11th. You'll never forget where you were that day, right? So understanding that and understanding the mindset of the individuals that would ultimately try to affect a free and fair election and turn it to their favor, uh, there's no telling what they would do, right? So.
I got a
One of the
question
things,
for
oh,
Mike.
go ahead.
Someone who, like me, I went through law enforcement training academy and all that, so I didn't really have to deal with getting a license and permits until I retired.
Yeah.
And my frustration in the process was that all that online forms for Maryland State Police. I was ready to quit. So anybody listening to this, what advice do you guys do that for them, or is that an option? Or because I was ready to quit like 3 times. I was like, this is too much. I
You
had
know,
two
it's funny
single
you
friends.
say that because that often is a struggle for so many individuals, and it really is the reason why they actually don't submit their application. So we do provide application assistance. Some of our instructors will actually sit down with you with a laptop and kind of walk you through the process to make sure you have everything submitted. And we've seen some really high success rates, especially given the fact that Maryland State Police has so many more investigators right now. Average turnaround time for HQL, which allows you to buy a handgun in Maryland, handgun qualification license, has been like roughly 10 to 15 days. So you would at least be able to have the firearm in your home. And then I would say within about 30 to 60 days, you would be able to have your wear and carry. One quick thing, one caveat I want to add to anyone that's actually thinking about carrying a firearm. If you don't carry the gun inside your home, empty, no magazine, no ammunition, it is highly unlikely that you're going to carry it outside of your home because you have to get used to now carrying a firearm on your person, right? So just think of that. Like if I'm going to actually carry this gun, I have to do it somewhere where I'm comfortable so that I can carry it into the world where I'm less comfortable and be confident while I'm wearing it, right? So it can be done, and it's a necessity. I think you should have that firearm everywhere where you can take it legally. And you, as a law enforcement officer, having that prior experience will definitely take that in consideration. But there's so many things that we would be able to share with you, and things that you could share with us in these classes that you really would enjoy the experience overall. And I think that you'll walk away with some value and hopefully a permit.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
question: I'm in DC,
Yes.
so and I've heard that that process is pretty tedious.
Mhm.
About how long? Let's say if I said, Mike, I am signing up tomorrow, and we
Okay.
take the class. When are your classes taught?
So the next class that we have coming up is December 14th and 15th. It is the last class that we have for 2024, and seats are going quickly, right? Because of all the uncertainty, those seats are starting to fill up fast. So if you are interested, right now we only require a $100 deposit to get in the class. The remaining portion is due the date of class. If you do our multi-state permit, which will allow you to have Maryland, DC, Virginia, Arizona, it gives you 40 plus states where you'll have reciprocity relationship to be able to travel with your firearm. So to answer your question, if you were to take our class, roughly right now, DC has a backlog. So if you were to take our class today and you schedule your fingerprints, you wouldn't be fingerprinted in the district until March of 2025. So it is imperative that you do it sooner than later because that time's just going out further and further. Before you know it, you're in June if you wait any longer.
How about if
Are
you
you
already
teaching?
have fingerprints on file for whatever reason?
So fingerprints typically last 30 days, depending on what state. And the fingerprints you have on file are specifically for what you do, right? Or your employment. Um, they're not firearm fingerprints. So they
Okay.
literally have fingerprints for everything. SPO, so forth and so on. But every 30 days is typically how long fingerprints last.
Okay.
So one of the
And that,
things I can say, having taken your class, is that the education, even if you're not interested in a gun, what I found really intriguing was the education. So for
Yeah.
example, me wanting to protect my home, what I found out is if you break in my home, I can't just shoot you, right? Because I felt
Yeah.
like that. If you in here, you're gonna leave with a hot one in you. But that is not the case, right?
No.
Michael, can you explain? Because that's important. I think because some people are gonna not take a class, or they may like be like Jamie. Oh, I know how to shoot. I've
Yeah.
shot before. But the education for the state is really important. Can you share a little bit more about that? And then Jamie, you go.
Yeah, so state specific, one of the two big differences between Maryland and the District of Columbia is first and foremost, Maryland is a duty to retreat state. Now, when you're in your home, that's a little bit different. If that person breaks in with a weapon with an intent to commit a felony, you're within right to use lethal force. But if there's no intent to do harm, they just came to take property. In Maryland and DC, you're not allowed to take human life over property. So let's get that clear. If they're gonna take your car or take your big screen TV, just call the police, right? Unfortunately, you cannot defend yourself up to lethal force in that instance. Again, the difference between Maryland and DC is that in the District of Columbia, they're neither a duty to retreat or a right to stand your ground. They're middle ground. So they're saying do everything within your power to avoid taking human life, right? And again, same thing for the district. You cannot take or you cannot use lethal force for personal property. You have to be under a threat of violence or serious bodily harm before you actually use your firearm or any other weapon in self-defense that could cause death.
Wow.
well, I hear
Yeah.
you. I know what
You gonna let them tell you gonna tell a story, right? They're not gonna get a chance to tell our story. Listen, I agree. It's our story.
I don't know nobody just breaking in house around my way just to take my TV. They think
Right.
it's
This
something.
ain't the Three Little Bears. Okay.
But we not trying to figure that out neither. We gonna deal with the threat. Like I understand in my driveway, you try to steal my car and all that. I understand that. But you
Right.
come here, it's gonna be a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Totally.
But in a lighter note, so my frustration, I guess, and I know people listening, when I got to the fingerprints and photo part, I had to stop the video.
Yes.
And then you gotta go, do you guys handle that, or is it you gotta go to find a live scan place and a photo place?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. We have a location in Beltsville, Beltsville, Maryland. And in our Beltsville, Maryland location, we have a fingerprinting facility where you can get your fingerprints done on site. And let's say, if, for instance, if you were taking the Washington D.C. concealed carry permit, you have to go to D.C. That's
Yeah.
the only place that you can go and get fingerprinted. We make sure that you have all the information you need. In our follow-up email, you'll have all the required documentation. You would have your shoot certificate as well, and any other documents that DC require. Your firearm registration form. So essentially, we kind of give you everything you need to be able to execute. We send reminders when it's time to actually get the fingerprints done. I literally just reached out to a client of ours last week and reminded him. He's like, man, thank you. I almost forgot. I'm like, nah, don't forget. You've been waiting 2.5 months for this appointment. But make sure you got all your documents. So, yeah, we'll help you walk through that. When you get there, I mean, this is something very, very important. If you don't have all your documentation, they will turn you away and you'll be waiting another 2.5 months. So we make sure you have everything you need so you can successfully get through that process. Once you're submitted, you're good to go. If you don't have anything prohibiting you from getting that permit, it'll be in the mail.
Yeah. And I will add, once I did the fingerprints and the photo, the spot I went to, it was over. It was like time to celebrate. So
Yeah,
I was
for
like,
sure.
man, this too much. And I was the police. I'm like, I gotta go through all this. Shouldn't it just be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So the reality of that is that even with this incoming administration, one of the things that I would say that us being in the firearm and protective service industry, when he mentions reciprocity throughout the entire United States, that's something that we can celebrate. We may not necessarily agree on a lot of other policies, but that one particular right, that fundamental right of being able to protect yourself is essentially important. We know that gun control was founded in racism. Once and upon a time, black folks couldn't own firearms, right? So now that we have the ability to do so, I think it's extremely important that if you are of a melanated complexion, that you have a firearm, right? Um, Ida B. Wells says that a rifle should be the staple in every black man's home because during the time that if you didn't have a rifle when the KKK showed up, they could very well lynch your father. But if daddy had a rifle, it changed the game. So I think it's extremely important, although there are a ton of hurdles, you absolutely should jump over every single one of those hurdles. Because once you have it, the only way that it can be taken away is if, unfortunately, you break the law. So do what you need
Know
to
the
do.
laws.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely know the laws. Every state has their own laws, right? And ignorance will never be an excuse. I try to drill that into every one of our students' minds and brains that you have to understand the laws for your specific state. USCCA is a company that we partner with as well that provides self-defense insurance. Extremely important for those who may not necessarily have the financial means to have an attorney. If God forbid you end up having to use your firearm in self-defense. And this is a shameless plug for them. I truly do appreciate what they do because in my community, that was something we were unaware of. Hey, I can have insurance to be able to protect myself if I have to defend my life. Super important. So outside of that, that's a really good tool to be able to add to. Okay, I can feel a lot more comfortable knowing that if I do have to defend myself, I don't have to give up my house. I won't have to lose my job and not be able to provide for my family. All those things are really important.
and
Excellent.
I just went to the range like a week ago, and they brought up
Yeah.
this. I never even
Yes.
heard about that insurance. Can you
Yeah.
spell that out so she can put that in if you know how much that one is that you're talking about? I know some of
Uh,
them are
Yeah,
gonna
they
have.
vary. There's like a tiered pricing program, but anybody that's actually interested in it, if you come to our class, we typically have a representative come out and he'll be able to introduce you to the products and services that they have. The company is called USCCA,
Yeah, that was a new
And
one
what
to
is
me.
it? Insurance for what?
concealed carry insurance or self-defense insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-defense insurance. And they have a really cool reciprocity map. They have an app that you can download. So literally that app itself will tell you what states allow you to carry a firearm in that particular state and what restrictions come with that. So it's a really useful tool, especially if you happen to be traveling with your firearm.
And one thing I want to say too is that regardless whether you go to Michael's class, make sure that you have your firearm put up and stored safely because children are interested. We live in a wicked gun culture where it
Yeah,
is just exciting to be able to have a gun and kids want to show out and do, the things that kids normally do. And we don't need any additional tragedy. So I definitely
yeah.
have to say that. And the thing I liked about your class is that you cover those types of things.
No, absolutely. That's extremely important. What we don't want to see is a rise in accidental deaths, right? Because of firearms, whether it be a child or whether it be an inexperienced person handling a firearm in an unsafe manner. That's one of the things we really drive home. It's one of the principles of our training itself, understanding the force firearm safety rules, making sure you keep that firearm pointed in the safe direction at all times, making sure you keep your finger off the trigger, making sure that gun stays unloaded, and then also knowing that you understand your target and beyond, right? So if you have to defend yourself, what's behind that wall in that apartment or that townhome that you live in, right? Because we don't want to injure any civilians or anybody that had nothing to do with the situation. So the benefit again for USCCA, it will cover you on the civil liability side. So you may be able to get justifiable homicide in that unfortunate incident, but you also need to make sure you can cover yourself on the civil side as well. So that's the benefit of that. And we definitely touch on making sure you have that firearm unloaded and secure so that minors or any prohibited individuals don't gain access to that firearm.
Minors, people with mental illness, people who are
Absolutely.
angry, right? Like people who
Yeah.
might just misuse it, intellectual disability,
Oh, yeah.
autism. Like we want to be able to protect vulnerable populations.
So that's one of the things that Maryland State Police has implemented this year for instructors is they've implemented a whole list of um, suicide hotline handouts. We go over that information to understand the feelings and the emotions. They provide the number. They also talk about suicides related to firearms as well. That's actually a thing that I did not know was prevalent, right? People using their own firearms to commit suicide or even going to the gun range and using a firearm there. So we have to be able to recognize the warning signs. I would say to anyone, if you feel like you're overwhelmed or you're going through something mentally that's very challenging, seek help wherever you seek for that help, whether it be the suicide hotline number or just a relative or somebody that can give you that ear to help walk you through that process of what you're dealing with. It's important. But mental health, physical fitness, all of these things are a part of owning the gun. It's not just about having that firearm itself. All of these matter. Mind, body, and spirit. They have to be where you need it to be in a healthy place to be able to own that gun. We strongly believe that if you're not mentally sound, you should not own a firearm. I don't think anybody that does not have the mental capacity to be able to be empathetic, to have a level of self-control, to be able to understand de-escalation, emotional intelligence. These things are all important to have a firearm. Oftentimes you'll hear people say, well, I can't own a gun. Trust me, when you understand the weight of that responsibility and what happens after you pull that trigger, you will be less likely to make that your first choice in a confrontation, right? There's so many other tools that you can use, less lethal tools to be able to de-escalate one or to protect yourself in the event, right? We oftentimes tell people they need a little spicy, and that's just pepper spray, right? You're somewhere and you feel like somebody's doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, and you've expressed that you want some distance. Maybe you give them a little spicy to get them away, right? If you genuinely felt fear for your concern or your safety, why not?
I love it. Thank you, Mike. And
Give them a
spoken like
little.
a nephew of a therapist. Mind, body, and spirit. I love it.
Yes,
And an excellent segue to our next guest. But first, I want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you had a busy, busy schedule, but
yes,
thank you for taking the time out to share because we want to make sure that our listening audience feels safe. So thank you.
absolutely. It's a pleasure. I appreciate you all having me. Remember, it's JudahEliteTactical.org on the web. It's Judah Elite Tactical on the social sites. And our next class is December 14th and 15th. If you mention this podcast, we will give you an additional 15% off of that price. Thank you all.
Nice.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mike.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right, Mike. Nice meeting you, man.
All right. Peace.
That nephew.
All right. That was good. Good. That
That
was
was some
good.
great
Good.
information because
hmm
I never
His,
knew anything about the insurance
Yeah.
and
his
the
class gives a lot of good information, a lot of good resources.
Yeah. When I tell you I was stressed, I was like,
I struggled too. That's why me and Mike had this little laughter because that website is nothing to
which Jamie just
sorry,
he just
No, I done scrolled over and I'm sorry. Oh, I did
you just
my
try
computer's
to kick
showing
me out.
off.
You
No,
try to
not at
kick me
all.
out.
Not at all. Yeah, I struggle with it too. And so, Mike was very helpful. Is very helpful in getting things done. So, yes, y'all ready for our next guest?
Absolutely.
So again, this next guest, a personal friend of mine and Marcy's, and I'll just bring him up. The Red Rev is how I refer to him, but Reverend Madison, Brian Madison, how are you?
I am great. How are you all doing this evening?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Good.
Good.
So you
It's
had a
been a long
chance to
time since I've
listen.
seen you, Brian.
Huh?
It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Yesterday.
How
Yesterday.
about that?
So listen, you had a chance while sitting in the green room to listen. We're talking about the election, people not feeling safe. So our first guest was really talking about how do people protect themselves physically, right? Like safety wise. If somebody comes in your home, we really were referring to the insurrection and people just not feeling safe with, threats against their life, the MAGA people, all of the things, right? But also we know that too, that there some people feel like this whole election is spiritual warfare. People are unsettled in their spirit. Some people are questioning God. They don't know what God is doing. Concerned like, hey, what's going on? And so if you can introduce yourself and then speak to that would be helpful.
That would be my pleasure. First of all, I want to say that, Jamie, I agree with everything that you said about the Redskins. Oh, excuse me, the Commanders. I was really, really upset, but I also took some hope in it in a sense that that's a game in the past that we lose by 30.
Yeah.
So now that we got people in place, some actual adults in the room,
Yeah.
I think we're in a better position.
Good
I think,
reframe.
I think the way I worded was in past years, those no blooper plays, that's you expected that. And this new organization and this new management and the new team, it kind of made us feel like, like how did that happen? Because they were doing so much positive stuff leading up to that game. But like you said, as diehards, we used to that offsides. We used to
Right.
the muff punts. We've seen it for years. So
Right.
I feel optimistic they're going to play tough Thursday and hopefully, but you got to play mistake free with Philly.
Yeah.
And all these elite teams, you got to play mistake free.
Yeah. Well, I think that going forward, they're going to be all right. I think that Jaden had to get that game out of his system, and now it's out of his system. I think he's going to get back to being Jaden again.
Yeah, that's
All right.
right.
Well, now to introduce myself, my name is Reverend Brian Madison. I'm an associate minister at Galilee Baptist Church, where I serve as the minister of pastoral care and also as the youth pastor. So I see people on both ends of the spectrum, and in my daily vocation, I am a hospice chaplain, dealing with counseling patients and families with the end of life, at the end of life stage in their journey in life. So I've seen a good amount of anxiety and stress from different points. And when you all speak of the election, the one thing that I always encourage people with is that now is the time to rely on your faith. Now is the time to enact your faith. You say that you are a faithful person, full of faith, and that you follow Jesus Christ. If you do, now is the time. You've got to trust him. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 is trusting him. You've got to trust in him with all your heart. Lean not unto your own understanding. A lot of times, Tyreese has said that we don't understand what God is doing in this moment. But the scripture itself tells us, lean not unto your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. That's the scripture that I stand on. It's a scripture that gives me hope in a sense of hopelessness. When the insurrection occurred on that January 6th, and I just looked at how frivolously. People were flaunting and violating the Constitution, so to speak. And when you do that, that kind of, they have no sense of law, no sense of self integrity if you're going to do something like that. So it does cause a little bit of anxiety. But again, go back to your faith. Your faith is the one thing that is going to carry you through. There are two scriptures that I lean on heavily to get me through times like this. One is Isaiah 54:17. And it says that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Now, what the scripture does not say is that the weapon won't be formed. The weapon will be formed. There will be things that come up against you. It just will not prosper. If you are a believer in Christ, it will not prosper. It will not come against you, because God is more than anything that is against you. And you have to believe that. You have to have that down in your fiber, down in your very being. The second scripture I lean on heavily is Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." With all of that in that scripture, that right there tells you that God will not abandon you. And even in this time where we think that somehow God missed the mark or something by letting this man get back in office, but I choose to spin it. I'm a crazy person. I choose to spin it. I choose to say this is going to be one of God's greatest miracles, because he's going to humble this man that thinks he's so great and does not need anything. God is going to show everyone, yeah, you may think that you know, but I'm going to humble you, and I'm going to make you do what it is that I want you to do. Just as he did with Saul in the Bible. He took away Saul's power, gave it to David, because Saul got big and full of himself, did not understand that he still has to report to God. And that's my spiel in a nutshell, is that you have to rely on your faith in times like this. Don't abandon your faith. Don't abandon the things that give you your foundation. Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense. And I am hoping that, people who have expressed to me have an opportunity to hear it. And I said similar things, but I think, you backed it up with scripture, of course. And it may be just coming from a minister, a man of God, rather than a therapist. But I think you're absolutely right that, God got us, and we're going to go through some tough times. And what I've been saying too, because I'm a big proponent on not speaking ill over my life. And I just say it's getting ready to be some real interesting times. I don't say it's getting ready to get bad, y'all. It's getting ready to be interesting. And then one of the things, and I don't know if my co-host caught it, when Michael said one of the things that Trump was talking about doing is actually going to be beneficial as it relates to guns and being able to have reciprocity. So that's been my hope too, is that some of the things, as crazy as they are, may benefit me, right? Like if people keep talking about his economic plan, I could certainly use some more money as a business owner, a better stand. And I'm going to just try to focus on that and not the person, because I think the person, and when I think about him as a person, it irritated me to my spirit. But when I just think about like the things that can happen for me, and even the things that are going to happen to other people, like I really just need to be praying. I think we need to do some different things in this time.
Well, what kind of upsets me a lot is you have a lot of evangelicals that said that they supported Trump because of the different types of things that Kamala supported. But what you have to also understand is that nobody is perfect. Nobody is going to be the absolute perfect candidate, perfect person. But at least I know with Kamala, there was a shred of integrity. There was something there that she was going to govern with a sense of empathy, whereas Trump has no integrity. He has no sense for people who are not of his ilk. And when you're dealing with someone like that, I don't. To me, I like, for instance, I don't understand why Mexican men or Hispanic men overwhelmingly voted for him.
Yeah.
When he's trying to put them out of the country.
Yeah.
There's some things that just boggle the mind with me.
Well, I think I figured it. The people who were able to vote for him are not people that are not threatened to be put out of the country. The fact that they can vote means that they're okay, but it's their relatives that are trying to come over that, you know, can be an issue. And I also think of all of the children that was separated from their parents at the border under his administration. Now, I wasn't a fan. I'm not a fan of Biden's his policies either, right? Like, I think that there was definitely some things that went wrong, but again, with empathy though, you know what I mean? And I think that's what it was. There was no empathy for children separated from their parents in a whole new country, like, you know, not speaking English. Like, that's gotta be crazy to experience. And I remember being in serious prayer during that time as a mother. You know, that bothered me. And I think that might be a case with a lot of people. It's so many things that are not just surface things, like, I just don't like him, I just don't like his policies. I think some of his policies and his ideas are deeply disturbing, which, you know, and his behavior is deeply disturbing, which really makes people, you know, fearful and concerned about, you know, their future and their livelihood.
For a man to say that Adolf Hitler had some good qualities about him, that right there caused me some consternation.
Yeah.
But again, I went back to my theological professors would say, I went to my neology and I got on my knees and I prayed about it. And God has assured me that everything is going to be all right, and that he is still in control. He's still the author and the finisher of everything. So I'm not going to, you know, would I prefer the other candidate to be in? Yes.
Right.
But like you said, there's some things I didn't like that she did, but I just think that she's more empathetic. And I think that when you have someone who's empathetic, who's going to think things through from A to Z instead of stopping somewhere around L,
you giving them a lot of credit.
Yeah, just the fact that she's a thinker, right? Like, that joker don't even think. I'm just saying.
Exactly. That's when you go back to your faith. You got to rely on your faith. You got to put it into action. So many times people say that they're people of faith, but then when they hit a trial or a tribulation, they try to solve it in their own way or in their own mind without going to the advocate, which is the Holy Spirit, and letting him lead you and guide you.
Yeah. So during my meditation yesterday morning, it came to me. So when my daughter was killed by gun violence, I remember having a conversation with God that I don't like this. Like, I'm not happy with this. I don't know what you're doing, God. I don't know why you chose me. I don't get it. Like, I'm concerned because I'm worshiping you. I'm in church. I had those girls in church. I'm not understanding this, but I'm going to trust you. Right. And that was it. Like, I'm going to trust. And you were there with me during that process. Like, I never lost my trust and my faith in God. And I'm grateful for that. And that's what came to me yesterday, that day in 2017, when I remember having this conversation with God. I'm going to just trust you. And I really feel like that's what God was telling me to do. Like, because I don't understand. I don't understand how more than half of America can vote for him. I don't understand how he even can be president with felonies. And
Right.
it's so much I don't understand. But like you hit it right on the head. Like, don't lean to your own understanding. God is doing a thing. And even with the loss, the most tremendous loss I could ever face, God has been doing some real special things. And so I'm just like, okay, God, again, here I am 8 years later, and I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna see what you're doing with this, because I can't wait to see, because I'm still concerned. I'm like, I don't like it, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my faith.
Well, the work that you and the Ayanna J. McAllister Foundation is doing, spurred from that tragic event. And look at what you have helped, and the relationships that you've built, and the people that you've touched, the lives that you've changed, just because of a tragic event.
Yeah.
And would we trade it in for tomorrow? Yes, I know you would. To have her back, I know you would. But you are, you're doing so many great things, and
Thank you.
you could have sat down on that event and let that event stop you, and shut down and not do anything else, but you're moving from that event.
Thank you.
And
And
I
actually, it's
understand.
funny because Ayanna's death is actually how I got to Jamie and Marcy. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I was
No,
getting ready to say
seriously.
that.
Because I don't know if you know, Jamie was a homicide detective, and he was on Ayanna's case.
Wow.
I mean, it's just crazy, right? So, like, yeah. So there have been a lot of things, and I always say that Ayanna's in heaven petitioning God on my behalf,
I can see
petitioning
that.
God.
I
Yeah,
can
like,
see
God,
that.
help my mom out. Like, do this for my mom. Yeah, I really do believe that, because she was a pain in the butt like that. Like, she ain't gonna let God
It
rest.
was
Like,
no
what you
pain in
doing,
the
God?
butt.
Yeah. So, yeah, very true. And thank you so much. Guys, y'all have any questions for the Red Rev?
Red. So also, just something that Tyreese, myself, and Brian, he's not a junior, the second.
Lil
We
Brian.
are,
Lil Brian.
I don't want to call him. He's not little no more.
No, he taller than me now.
He's not little no more. Brian the second. That's what we're gonna call him. We are on the
The improved version.
mental health and wellness ministry at our church. That so this thing right here, mental health, being mentally fit, we're taking it into churches where it was once taboo to say anything about your mental health, because if you evidently you ain't praying enough, if you got anxiety,
Right.
something. But now people are being real with themselves
Yeah.
and understanding that some days it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that.
Marcy and I have t-shirts that say it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist. Because
I'm
sometimes
so
people
glad you
think
said
if
that.
you are in the church, that's all you need. But God, just like if you have diabetes and saved, you still take your medicine. If
I
you have a
tell
mental
people,
health issue, you need to still address it.
right.
You know what? So one day I had my shirt on, and I was going to get coffee at Main Street Coffee and Treats.
Free
And
advertisement for them people.
you know what? I was
Right,
like, okay.
they
But
need to send you a check if you're gonna advertise.
I let Thaddeus know he owes me coffee. But when I was going into the shop, I had on my shirt, and a white guy, an older white guy, read my shirt and said, "No, you only need Jesus." I said, "Well, first of all, how about you let me wear this shirt?" And I said, "I need Jesus and a therapist, because if I lost it on you, I would need a lawyer."
I tell people all the time, God made the doctors too.
Exactly. So, the
God made the
stigma,
doctors too.
the
He gave them
stigma
the
of
knowledge.
not needing both. Yeah, you better be lucky. I got therapists.
And
Okay,
they don't know you because you need both.
I need both and then some.
Yeah,
because I'm walking in my peace, but also I want to walk with my peace.
yeah.
Okay. Because
Pray for Rev. Pray for him.
No, what touched me is something you talked about, how when you were talking about Ayana, and some days you have bad days, and as of course you know my situation now. I'm with my health challenges and what I'm going through, and I just wanted to publicly thank your husband for letting me bend his ear, because I talked with him a couple Sundays back, and I was telling him that one of my surgeries got postponed, and I was angry with God. Me and God had a fight. He won, but we had a fight and an argument. And he was saying, and your husband told me, it's okay, Brian. It's all right to do that. He was like, you don't have to be Superman. You don't have to. He said, I still get mad too. And I still am trying to understand God's plan too. And I said, well, thanks, Mac. I appreciate that, man. You don't know how much those words encourage me.
Yeah. And I think too that even with the election, people are questioning God, like, what are you doing? I know I am. And I consider myself a pretty spiritual person, but and I think it's okay. I think God has big shoulders, right?
Yes.
Like he can handle us questioning. He already know we don't like it, whether we voice it or not. And I refer to God as my daddy, right? Like it's nothing I can't say or go to him with. He's not a CEO in the corner office that I have to schedule an appointment with. So me being upset and not liking something he did is a conversation that I'm comfortable having with him. Right. But and I think people got to be real, because we're gonna have to have some uncomfortable feelings in the next 4 or more years. I keep saying 4 or more because everybody like 4 years only. And I'm like, maybe not. We got to look at it. It's not just Trump, but people
His
across
vice president.
his vice president, but people across the United States are okay with who these people are. Right. So 4 or more. So I'm hunkering down. I'm hoping not more. Right. But I'm hunkering down to say, God, please don't let me have to deal with this for 4 years. I just think people, like you said, go to the neology, and that we need to pray, because what's the scripture for that, Brian? About praying?
There's
a lot of them.
No, but it's one I'm thinking of in particular. But don't worry about it.
Through prayer and supplication, make it.
No, but we have to be praying. God is calling us to pray about our troubled times.
My name will humble themselves.
That's it, Marcy. Oh, when Marcy got the scripture, we better watch out, Brad.
Because I've been doing some praying. Okay,
Jamie, you see Marcy pull that scripture out?
I saw that.
That scared me. First, she want to carry her peace, and then she pull it out of scripture.
Why can't I do both? Because I walk
every
in peace,
woman, Marcy.
And
I
every walk with my peace.
Keep Philippians 4 and 4:6-7 on your mind as well.
Okay.
It says to present your requests to God through prayer and petition.
Yeah.
With no anxieties, make your requests known, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will be your reward.
And with that, because make your request known.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to do an affirmation, because affirmations are nothing but prayers, making your request known unto God, the universe, the ancestors. So, and this is an affirmation for safety. So today I'm wrapped in the circle of protection, grounded in my peace, and surrounded by love. I am safe. I am secure. Trusting the path I walk and the strength within me. My steps are guided by wisdom, and I embrace each moment with calm assurance. All is well. That's how you make your request known unto the Lord.
Okay. I love it.
Outstanding.
See, you didn't even have me on.
No, we
Marcy got
definitely needed you. We definitely
Brian,
needed
Reverend
Reverend Marcy. Reverend Marcy.
Because you know, one moment I'm good, and the next moment I'm like, "We gonna pray." Like,
Next moment, somebody's calling me. Get Marcy.
come get her,
No,
and
listen,
I'm okay
thank
with
you.
it.
Yes, thank you for responding. You know, we were kind of last minute trying to figure out the show for this week, but you were perfect. Thank you so much for jumping in there.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yes, we appreciate you.
You know how I feel about both of y'all. So
Yes, we do. All right, so we're gonna put you back in the green room. You are welcome to stay or you can go, but make sure you tune in on social media for those of I think you do have social media, right, Ram?
yeah, my wife allows it.
Okay, yes. Okay, good. And tell her thank you for allowing us to have your time. All right, so we're gonna put you back in the green room, and then I'm gonna do I'm gonna just give 10 quick tips for people. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right, love you guys.
Let me.
I cut y'all off. I'm sorry. Y'all be moving fast.
That's okay.
So real quick, because I don't want to keep my audience past an hour. I just wrote down a few things that I want. Post-election anxiety and even depression is very real. It would be considered situational depression, like a situation has happened and we're struggling with accepting it, or we have some fears around it. We have some uneasiness. So a couple of things, just 10 quick things. Limit news consumption. I know that many people were talking about, over consuming CNN, just watching up to the election. Yeah, me too. Me too. But after a while, I just, I was like, let me just turn it off, right? When it gets to be too much. I am going to say, because one person did say to me that they're just not going to watch it at all. They're not going to watch the inauguration, which I don't plan on watching the inauguration. But when the guy is actually speaking, I'm going to be listening because I need to know what's going on. So while we might limit our consumption of news and media, we don't want to turn a blind eye or ear to what's being said. Like, we need to know what's coming. Okay. Second thing, practice mindfulness and meditation. I found a lot of peace on yesterday in my meditation. And so one of the things that I had to do on Wednesday when I got the results, I'm a big person about feel the feelings, right? A lot of times we stuff the feelings, we don't feel them. We try to busy ourselves or distract ourselves from feeling it. And I didn't want to do that, but I knew on Wednesday, because I had clients Wednesday and Thursday, that I needed to get myself together, right? I needed to be prepared because I needed to be able to help my clients. Yesterday was the day I got to do actual, like, feeling the feelings for the rest of the week after I saw my clients. But then my meditation, and in my meditation, I found the answer that I needed. I found what I needed to rest on to be able to move forward. Okay. The third thing,
Can I put a pin right there, Ty?
absolutely.
So Wednesday, I had my therapy appointment with my therapist that I pay my copay to, and we were talking about it, and she was like, she knew the same thing. As a therapist, I know I have to talk to my clients, and I know my clients are in disarray. She said, I think I might have been her last client for the day. She said, now I get to go to my therapist. Because
all good therapists have therapists.
Right. She said, because I now have to actually feel my feelings. I'm carrying the weight of my clients, but now I get to go to my therapist and I get to feel my feelings. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, feeling the feelings are important, but we don't do that usually. What we do is try to avoid them. Don't look at them. Don't talk about it. Don't remind us of it. But take space to feel the feelings, but then also take some time to meditate, because in that quiet time with yourself, a lot of times you will get an answer you need. And that's another thing people don't do. They don't sit down and process. They don't have time where there's just nothing going on, where the answer came so clearly to me. And I don't even think I was looking for the answer for that in particular. So the the number 3, stay active, stay physically active, right? Like, just because what happens when you're active, you release hormones that are your happy hormones, right? And they combat some of the other feelings that we're having. But also, added to what our guest Michael said, is that getting physically fit, like being able to tote a gun is one thing, but being physically fit, because think about the insurrection. If anything were to happen similar to that in our homes, at least when it happened with our officers, they were physically fit to be able to deal with it. So we don't know what kind of things we're going to be getting ready for. So just physical fitness is good for you anyway. Connect with supportive people. Marcy talked about her tribe of people. Both of us this weekend had time to get together with girlfriends to just, relax, relate, and release. And that really is very helpful, right? To be able to do that. Enjoy hobbies, right? Like, find something to distract yourself. I know one of my nieces, she makes the beaded bracelets, and she initially was doing it to address her anxiety, her own, and she made it into a full business, right? So sometimes your anxiety can be it can turn into a side hustle if you're talented. Practice deep breathing. Most of the time, we don't breathe correctly anyway. We certainly don't breathe the way we need to breathe when we're anxious or depressed or grieving, right? Like, that's very important. So you'll notice a lot of times when people are overwhelmed, they'll go throughout the day. And it's because their breathing is definitely impacted by what they're feeling. This is a good one. Focus on the things you can control. There are a lot of things you can control and a lot of things you can't. And knowing the difference is a blessing. So one of the things that I have my clients do is they draw a circle in the page on a clean sheet of paper. And I tell them, everything that you're worried about, you're going to write it on this paper. You decide whether it goes in the circle, what you can control, and or outside of the circle, like you have no control. So your adult children are doing things you don't like, no control. Put it on the outside of the circle. You're gaining weight and stress about that, inside the circle, because you can change that, right? Things you can change. Your job is irritating you. You can put that inside the circle, because guess what? You can look for a new job. Okay, the next one. Establishing and keeping a routine. Like, routines are really good. So like, when people get a lot of changes in their life, it can be unsettling. And there's nothing wrong with change, but when you're in a state of depression or anxiety, try to stick to routines and not do too much outside of that. Limit social media, right? Like, social media can be a lot, and not just during the election time. Like, I know most of my friends think like I think, right? All 3,000 of them, they think like I think. But I know that my husband had gone to school with several people who were not thinking like the McAllisters were thinking, and they was putting stuff on their page or jumping on his page. And I'm like, we need to unfriend them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they not our people. These ain't our people. And so sometimes you got to limit the social media. Even Jamie, as a reality TV star, people feel like they can just jump on his page now, and tell them how they feel. Like, block and delete. Block and delete is a real thing. Or limit your time on social media. And then finally, guys, this is my favorite one, and you can tell me if you can guess why. The final one is to seek professional help. Like, listen, you are absolutely worth it. And guess what? If you could solve these problems by yourself, you would have solved them. So it takes sometimes a third party. It takes a third party to be able to talk to and give you some insight or help you develop insight. And trust me, I don't tell people what to do. They do what they want to do. Not what I tell them what to do, but the 45 to 50 minutes that they talk with me, they can develop insight because I know how to pull it out of them. So listen, talking to a professional is no longer taboo. It's actually kind of sexy to have a therapist be like, oh, nope, I got my therapy appointment, that kind of thing. So that's what I want y'all to do. It don't have to be me. I just want people to get help, because guess what? Healing is possible, right? It's no way in the world I'm going to walk around depressed knowing that I don't have to be. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. That's worse than mental illness. I do not have to be fearful, anxious, sad, None of this, right? It's all treatable. And so I want you guys to really get with that, like, digest that. So those are my tips. Y'all had, yes, I love it. And thank y'all for wearing the shirts and my suggestion. And then mine's is in the dry cleaner. So, but on this show, we are all about Jamie's brand and being mentally fit. Jamie, I thought I had a banner up here where people can go on and order. There we go. They can order the shirts from your site, right?
Yeah, or just message me direct.
On social media.
Jamie Tyler Foundation on IG, and we'll get them straight.
Right. We want everybody to be mentally fit. If you are listening to this on a replay, please hit us with a hashtag replay. If you are going to get your shirt, make sure you post it, that you take a picture in and post it on our website or on our Thursday Therapy podcast site. We want to see that you all are taking your mental health and wellness seriously and being very intentional about it in or out of election season.
And one thing, at November 30th event, they will have me. We're working on the sweatshirt still. I know, don't get on me, but we're working on it.
Okay, I was going to ask, then I said, I'll do that offline.
Yeah, it's the finding the right place to
right.
Go.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, guys, that's the end of our show. This was a great show.
It was as always. And I love being here with my co-hosts. There's nothing like the three of us.
And we love you too, Marcy.
Thanks.
She's so
with all of our busy lives, we figure it out. That's the
That's the beauty of it.
And that's, you know what it is too? It's the commitment to it having an impact. And our impact just happens to be for mental health, but like it's the commitment, and hopefully and I think because I got a lot of good feedback when I went to homecoming, people were really excited about the stuff we're doing. So I'm excited, guys.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pull us out.
All right, have a good one.
She's Tyreese McAllister, the therapist on the mic, bringing mental health wisdom, shining bright like a light. Guiding souls to peace, leading minds to the right. With her codes by her side, they soar to new heights. Marcy Trueheart in the mix, mental health advocate, speaking truth, sparking change, grinding like a maverick. Empowering minds, lifting spirits, it's never too late. Together with the crew, just trying to do great. Jamie Tyler in the house, a TV star, champion mental health, taking it far, sharing stories, inspiring minds, raising the bar, with codes by the side, reaching for the stars. Thursday Therapy, breaking stigmas all around. With this crew, they here for the town. Mental health help, spreading love profound. Their voices echo loud with a resounding sound. Thursday Therapy, here to make a change, spreading love, sharing knowledge in a world so strange. Tyreese, Marcy, Jamie on this mental health range, standing united this far from a game.